Good afternoon. Just wanted to mention that Sergeant Lamb will be joining us shortly. Um, Sergeant Lamb is the district manager in terms of the New Haven Police Department here in New Haven. There are 30 wards and 10 district managers from the police department are assigned to the 30 wards. So he represents 3 wards, and Ward 28 being one. And it's really an opportunity to chat with him in terms of public safety, public responsibility, just really reconfirming the fact that we all are on the same team. And although all of us don't have arrest power, certainly we have eyes and ears and communication power. So whether you are listening to this in New Haven or in Ward or live in Ward 28 or anywhere on the planet, police, public safety, public responsibility, life, liberty, and pursuit of happiness, all these things cannot happen unless we, I won't say work together, but just uh, invest our energies in a strategic fashion together. And it doesn't have to be work, it can be joy. I mean, people think about block watches being like you're spying on people. I would say block watches are just expressing care. These are calamitous times where anything can happen in terms of accidents or fires or you name it, not necessarily just catching people for doing bad things. So whether it's a block watch or a block love, let's kind of decide how we can kind of protect one another, help one another, and actually, and I'll use the term serve one another. As you probably know, been a rash, some might say a pandemic of thefts, of car thefts, window smashings, tires being removed from cars, not to mention carjackings, not to mention uh, the catalytic converter situation. So wherever we look, there's need for us to kind of be your brother's keeper, your sister's keeper, and not that you're keeping in terms of possessing, but just the implementing the golden and platinum rule. Let's kind of do unto others as you would like to do unto yourself. So Sergeant Lamb is here with us, and we're going to just kind of jump right in for 15 or so minutes. Sergeant Lamb,
Hello, Alder. How are you?
good to see you. My wife calls me Alder sometime, but when she calls me Alder, I know I gotta ask her, how high do you want me to jump? How high?
Listen,
I know there's something behind that. And then she says, and you are our Alder, aren't you? So, but I won't go there. And I'm sure you get that from your family members too.
yes, my
Uh,
wife. My wife uses my full name,
See,
so
and you know something's cooking there. And we husbands, I mean, obviously this is not the reason for us to chat. Just glad you had a moment. But we husbands got to understand that the honeydew mantra is there's reasons. So
I
there's
tell everyone I'm my wife's employee. So
you work for them and you're on a constant probationary contract. It's not like a 1 year contract, it's constant probation.
correct.
Constant. And husbands don't understand, man, that's the Adam and Eve situation. We got to understand. Sometimes you gotta go with the flow. But I agree. Well, I've been married several decades. How long have you been married?
5 years.
5 years. Good for you. Good for
Thank
you.
you.
Any little people?
Not yet.
Not yet.
Not
All
yet.
right. All right.
That's in the works.
Yeah, my wife Julie and I, we're great grandparents. So there's a lot in the works. In fact, we got one more coming. Come to think of it, in October, in
That's
terms
a
of the
blessing.
great grandberry thing. Did you have like 10, 15 minutes? I mean, just the fact that you can spend the time and you're new on the job.
Absolutely.
Uh,
Absolutely.
I was just giving some intro comments that um, we're all basically. I'm trying to communicate to folks that we are all on the same team. That
Absolutely.
everyone doesn't have arrest power, but we all could have something we can do in terms of our time, our investment, our connections, our yeah. I was mentioning the fact that even people have this term block watch. I would say just block love. Just
Yep.
just be on the lookout for folks, uh,
Exactly.
and not just to arrest people, but just calamities, fires, anything. You saw we had a fire in Dixwell the other day, and fire in our ward a few weeks ago. But anyways, what would you like to say to folks about what we can do from terms of a collective public responsibility standpoint? Because people obviously are frustrated, but the human condition, you get frustrated, right? Uh,
Correct.
yeah, but you've been on the
Um,
force 15 years, right? I think
13.
13. Yes.
Yep. I mean, it's a collective effort. General things, general rules of thumb. Don't leave valuables in vehicles. Don't leave things that would attract someone to want to break into a vehicle. Not all cases are that, but in most cases, in our car break-ins, they're finding tools or purses or items of value. And then in extreme cases, they're finding unsecured firearms.
Mm,
So that's actually more common than people think. We've
mm,
like I'd say once a month or once every other month, someone has their firearm stolen
mm,
from their vehicle,
mm-hmm,
which
mm-hmm.
is obviously not a place that you should store a firearm. But sometimes people forget. Sometimes people, oh, it's in the car, but I'll run back out later and grab it, and they forget, and then they go to bed, and then now there's a stolen
Right.
firearm there.
Let's stay on the car theft situation. And I guess with the Kia Boy kind of phenomenon a year ago, 2 years ago that came in.
It's still ongoing.
And the fact is now that it's still ongoing, and before we had this name for it, this commercialized name for it,
Yeah.
there still were these issues. Should folks buy more anti-theft stuff? I know down on the street on here on Bellevue, some tires were taken, and
So I suggest wheel locks right now. So there's a couple of trends we're seeing. We're
mm-hmm,
seeing trends that it's an old trend, but they're taking Honda and Acura wheels and tires.
mm,
That used to happen years ago, then it stopped for a while. Now we're actually seeing a trend again of it's specifically Hondas and Acuras. Their parts are interchangeable. I mean, Acura is a subsidiary of Honda.
mm-hmm,
So we're seeing that a lot. They're leaving the vehicles on blocks
yes.
mainly, and it's mainly Hondas. As in terms of auto thefts, it's still predominantly Kias and Hyundais. So just for our general area and for the city, my predecessor, Lieutenant Przybylski, he was
Mm-hmm.
able to reach out to a rep at Hyundai and secure vehicle wheel locks that he distributed throughout the city. I was able to reach out to his same contact, and I think it's 100 wheel locks coming in the next 2 weeks that I can distribute to the residents.
And should folks come to, what's the best way of dissemination? Should they come to the
So
substation?
I have it going to the police department. I have to figure out where I can store it within the police department. I'll have some in my office. I'm kind of split. I have two districts. So
Mm,
I have the Beaver Hills district, and I also have the Dwight Kensington Chapel. So I try to split my time between both,
good. Mm-hmm.
just like right now I'm in the Whaley Ave office. But my main office that I work out of predominantly is the Edgewood Ave office. But people can just shoot me an email, a text, and I can acquire it
And
for them.
you include, so yes, let me know when they're available. And is
Yep.
that the steering wheel locks or the wheel locks?
The steering wheel locks.
So the steering wheel locks, yes, I
Yes.
know that was popular. And then, but now some people are saying are there some locks you can buy for your tires also, or your,
Yes. Yes. You can buy wheel locks. I don't have a contact for like a Honda manufacturer yet. I can try to reach out to them and see if I can acquire one. But in the interim, people can purchase wheel locks for their vehicles.
and again, we've just met, and I want to stay on your good side because you're authorized to to exert. I'm just making a bad joke. But when a resident says, "Why can't you guys capture these guys?" Your answer is, or girls, and your answer is,
So one that this the sheer time. A lot of these crimes when we get video, these crimes are taking less than a minute.
yeah,
It's a lot of them are crimes of opportunity. They break a window, they're in and out of the vehicle within, I think the fastest we've seen is like 35 seconds. They're not, there's really no strategic plan behind what they're looking for. They just think that there may be valuables in it. And we do actually make arrests quite often, especially of juveniles and stolen vehicles. But the problem is with the court system and the judicial system, it's a summonable offense. So they're arrested if they're under 18. They're taken to the police department. They're photographed, fingerprinted. They get a summons and they're released right back to their parents within a couple hours. So we Officer Dragoy, he's real big. He's real proactive out in the area. He made an arrest last week of 4 juveniles in a stolen car, and then the next day he was working overtime over by Osborne, and the same kid he arrested the day before drove by him in another stolen car.
let's and again, you're not a social worker, and I don't want to impose that on you. And we know, again, we know that wives can give us 5,000 jobs, but we're talking about you're talking about your day job now. What do you want to say to the community? And I don't want you to feel you got to pick on youth services or YMCA or parenting, but what do you want what do you want to say to the community about if you have a loved one, if you have a someone in your sphere of influence that's under 18?
So what I can only speak from experience what worked for me.
Right.
I grew up with a single mom. She threw everything at me. She tried to throw as many activities at me that I would enjoy and keep me busy. I did everything from gymnastics to horseback riding to football
Cut it out.
to baseball. I did everything.
Uh,
And um so that was her plan with me. She tried to keep me active. She tried to keep me busy, keep me involved. She was involved in, what's going on. She wanted to, meet the people I was associated with. She wanted
mm-hmm.
to, meet their parents.
Yes.
But, not everyone is fortunate to have that type of relationship.
Yeah. Yeah. Did you
So
grow up in New Haven?
So I'm originally from New Haven. I did elementary school at Edgewood for a little bit, and then we moved to North Haven. But it was just me and my mom. My mom was a juvenile probation officer on Whaley Avenue. My family still owns the house right on Ella Grassa Boulevard, right at Whaley and Ella Grassa Boulevard. That's the original house I lived in.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm very much tied into the community. And
Tremendous, tremendous, tremendous. Uh, when you see some of and you got to bear with my methodology. There's no, I don't have any script, just as its questions come to me. But when you see some of your friends that you might have grown up with that have either been incarcerated or you can tell that they're not doing too well now, what does that say to you about life and decisions and journeys? And I'm sure you see people again that you say, oh no, or you may even have arrested good friends that you play with. So you're just curious of how that kind of works on your mind and how you see society.
so a veteran officer always says to me, he's still on the job, but he always says your life is a collection of seasons.
Hmm.
So you're never defined by one season.
Mm-hmm.
But you're always ever changing.
Hmm.
So what you used to be may not be who you are now, positively or negatively. So
Mm-hmm.
I was going to, thinking about life in that form.
Hmm. I like that. I like that. I like that. Uh, interesting. Was there, this is kind of an offbeat question. Is there competition to become a district manager? Is this good to be on your portfolio? Something that you're pleased about? Where did the chief say, John, I need you, and you have no choice about it? Tell us about the
No, there
process.
was so the the background was so I was a Westville cop for most of my career.
Mm-hmm.
I was on midnights. Then I got promoted to sergeant. I still covered this side of the city. The city's divided into 10 districts,
Mm-hmm.
5 on one side, 5 on the other side. The west side of the city is comprised of Hill North, Hill South, Dwight Kensington Chapel, Beaver Hills, and Westville. So
Mm-hmm.
I was typically the night supervisor for Hill South, Hill North, Dwight Kensington Chapel, Westville, and Beaver Hills. So I'm familiar with the district. When there was a shortage, we couldn't fill all the district manager positions. Initially, I was going to go to the Westville district, but then the chief approached me and asked if I'd be interested in the district manager position for Dwight Kensington Chapel as well as Beaver Hills. I said
Mm-hmm.
absolutely. It's a change. It's different. It's good for your career growth, your personal growth.
Hmm.
It's good to do different things. It's good to try new things. For me, I spent the last 11 years on midnight shift by
Hmm.
choice.
Hmm.
So that in itself is different.
Yeah,
I'm
sure,
during the day
sure,
now.
sure. Yeah.
Um, my wife is a little happier, so she works during the day. She's also a police officer in the city as well.
Oh, that's something.
So she has a different role though. So she's a school resource officer.
Okay.
So
Excellent.
she's at Wilbur Cross. So she
Wilbercross?
yep.
Excellent, excellent. I know Nancy was over at Hill House before she left and German. So is it this is really not the right way to say it. Is it exciting or is it challenging or is it something that you wanted to do? I mean, is it fulfilling to some degree?
It's fulfilling. I'm still getting my feet wet, so I'm learning
Okay.
still learning the nuances of it. But it's different, and different is different is good sometimes.
Yeah, and I really appreciate the summaries that you've continued to send to me. Uh,
Yeah, I try to keep everyone up to date, up to speed, involved.
I think my sense is that the more folks know, from the transparency standpoint, the better. And just to shift for a second in terms of and I don't want to put words in your mouth, and that's why it's so good to kind of chat with you now, and obviously we'll chat in the future. But some of these, went back to the car thefts, are really they're tough to apprehend, as you're saying. So, what
Correct.
from a psychological standpoint, what would be and that's obviously you sense that's why what's really needed to reach out to you, given the calls that I've been receiving, to say the least. From a mental psychological citizen standpoint, what do you want to say to folks in this regard, so that they won't?
I
What do you want
mean,
to?
I've dialogue with all my alders. I mean, we're as a department, we're doing based on our staffing, and obviously, it's not a secret. We're trying to negotiate a contract. It's hard to recruit and retain in the city. We're trying to do the best we can with the resources we have. Like I said, I'm doing my part. I've reached out, try to get the wheel locks. I have overtime beats that are for the area to help patrol. I worked the overnight shift on Tuesday night into Wednesday. I was up and down the district. I'm sure people saw me because I had shining my lights in probably everyone's
Yeah,
window.
great,
So that's one of the things I'm, trying to do. And there's some other things that, you know, some other resources that, working in the background that we're trying to implement as well.
excellent, excellent, and obviously you'll keep us informed. The police
Absolutely.
athletic league, or you actually don't need the league. It's police athletic activities, I think now is
Yes.
what it's
I'm
called.
actually I'm actually kind of involved in that. I do the football, the flag football aspect of it. I was a former college athlete. I played football in college. So I played right at Southern Connecticut.
Hmm.
So I
So
participated.
tell us a little bit about that, because the Chiefs been admittedly, in my mind, a proponent and proud of the enhanced growth of the police athletic activity
So
initiative.
I I would be remiss if I took any credit for it. Sergeant Ferrante has been hugely instrumental in
Mm,
expanding the uh the program. They have jujitsu, they have flag football. We have a fall league for flag football that travels to
yeah.
Waterbury is in their league. We have basketball, we have girls only specific basketball.
Yes.
We just started soccer.
Hmm.
There's
Hmm.
boxing.
Hmm.
There's a multitude there, and then every so often, Officer Borisova will do a baking class, and then every other Friday. It started last Friday, so there won't be one this week, but this following Friday there will be. They do a Friday Night Lights event where they invite any use to come to the field house, and they have a DJ, they have
Yes.
basketball. So I actually worked that last Friday. Me
Right.
and we both worked that event, and we had a great turnout. There's about 700 kids that showed up to that.
I saw that, and I'm blessed here in Ward 28 to have the field house and Bowen Field that they're all in. So, and I was so excited to see that. What's your sense of, will that continue just for the summer or into the fall, or any idea?
That'll at least continue through the summer, and then I know last year they did a couple pop up ones, but
Hmm.
I don't know if that's I'm not I'm in charge of the planning for the
Yes.
term for that, but whatever I can do to help out with that, I participate in. It's a good program.
Keep us posted there because yeah, I was so excited to see that. With the field house is so popular, and as you know, people from outside Connecticut, from
Yes,
Massachusetts, from New York, come to use it. So we might as well, if they find it useful, we might as well take advantage of it.
absolutely,
And
absolutely.
what position did you play at Southern?
I was a center and a guard.
Center guard, yeah, yeah. So you got down there in the nitty gritty.
Yeah, yeah, we bumped into a lot of people.
Did the coach ever want to move you to another position, or you really like the lineman was something you really liked?
Um, no, lineman was pretty much when I went. So I thought I was gonna go play defensive line when I went there, and then I got moved
Hmm.
to offense. So, but you know, it was one of those things where whatever I could do to help the team win, I was willing to.
Good, good,
So,
good, good, good for you. Good for you. Good for you. Any questions for me as Alder? I mean, what's good for the goose is good for the gander, man.
no, you're on top of it. You know you reach out like you set this up. You're very responsive. So I just look forward to having a good working relationship.
Excellent, 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 excellent. Uh, I think that's it. Just generally the youth issue and people that call out of frustration. Yes, their property is being, but also I can sense in their heart that what's going on with our youth. So I just try to. I know Gwen's doing and Ronald,
It,
other folks.
it, and we're cognizant of the fact that like people work hard for their stuff. I work hard
Yeah,
for my things. So you want it to be there when you get back.
right.
You want it to be in the same condition. Like that's not unreasonable. Um, and so it is frustrating. This is I wish I wish this was a small issue. This is actually a multi-town, this is all over the state of Connecticut issue. Um,
Nationwide. Yeah, yeah.
as long along with a multitude of issues like dirt bikes and quads and things of that nature. And it's plaguing everybody, unfortunately.
Let's take a. Do you have 5 or so more minutes?
Absolutely.
And I know, and I don't mean to be sarcastic or judgmental, but when you become in your line of work, it gets my sense that there's a certain, and I say this in admiration and as a compliment, there's a certain sobriety of for how you want to come across. Let
Yes.
me try, and that's the public needs that. That even if the fire is burning, you're going to decide you're not going to freak out, but you're going to
Yeah.
call the command. You're going to what does the command structure say to deal with this? The situation you had the street takeovers.
Yes.
Is that another example of where I won't say the opposition team, but they're large fires, small fires. These are these eruptions of civic discontent that I know must be really just kind of whacking you guys in
It,
back and
it,
forth.
and you have to evaluate it from a bunch of different lenses. So, like, you have a street takeover per se. Now, if you don't know ahead of time that this is going to happen, you have your resources that, we still have to serve the citizens of the city. We still have to, answer calls for service.
Right.
So it's hard to allocate majority of your resources to deal with this issue when the detriment would be to the citizens who need to contact the police for
Hmm.
their normal day-to-day items. So it's a balancing act, so to speak.
For sure. I mean, and even just use that example. While that street takeover took over, your call center was getting calls about someone being raped or murdered or shot or blah blah blah. Or,
Yes.
I mean, this gets back to your sobriety or just
Yep.
my dog got killed or my husband got killed or my cat is up the tree or somebody's at the tree trying to hang themselves. So we as a citizens, I think, are not as aware of I mean, we watch it on TV, but we don't
Yeah.
want to believe that it's happening every day in our community. So, uh, in terms of number of police for the police, if in your magic wand, do we need another in the perfect world, another 100 folks,
I,
another
I
50
mean,
folks,
just numbers wise, we're probably boots on the ground, 80 officers short.
80 short?
And that's not including, people who can potentially retire people who are out injured,
Mm-hmm.
people who are thinking about going on to another department or leaving. And
Mm-hmm.
that number is fluid. It's always moving. So
Right. Right, right. My next door neighbor is joining one of the forces, I think in Manchester. So what do you want to say to a young person about a career in this regard? I had a chance to meet one of your recruiters and Gary Tenney for the Firebirds. The protective services in my mind might be needed like never before for the future. I got to tell
yes.
you, man.
Well, it's a different time period. There's not as much general interest in the career of law enforcement right now. You that coupled with, higher pay for what's perceived as less dangerous work in other like smaller towns,
Mhm,
is something we have to combat to try to keep, officers here, especially homegrown officers.
mhm,
And the push to diversify departments too.
mm,
So that actually is a big pull for like city residents. There's a lot of city residents who would like to stay on, serve their communities, or get on, but other departments are have
mm,
initiatives to diversify, whether it's through race or gender. They're
mhm,
trying to, that's a big push with other departments. They're trying to do that for their departments and their communities. And you look at it and you look at, well, all right, I come to New Haven, or I can go to, say, North Haven. And right now, North Haven, after 3 years, just using them, they're paying $102,000
just after 3 years.
after 3 years.
And
And they're specifically targeting, you know, people of color, black, brown, and females.
And roughly in lieu of although this might change once the contract is resolved, roughly are we at that same benchmark for 3 years at 80,000, 75, 90,
Right
80?
now, currently top step officer, and it takes about approximately 2 years to get to top step. We're around 78.
So you're saying a 25, a 20 to 30,000 difference?
Correct.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
And not all of it's based on money, because what I find now with being on a little bit, the generation of younger people now, it's not even a money thing for them, so to speak. Sometimes it's just quality of life. Some places, more time off, less events they have to be present for, things of that
Good point.
nature.
Good point. Good point. Good point. So in conclusion, so talk to me about what's kept you and your wife kind of committed. I mean, we need to lift you guys up. I mean, we we
So so
we
my
need your
wife
unborn children to kind of join you. You guys got to get busy here and get some.
so I think it starts with our family. So my mom was, in service all her life. It was granted it
Hmm.
was with the state, but so the dynamic is there for me. My
Yes.
wife, her mom worked for the board, has been working for the Board of Ed forever. Her mom's been a paraprofessional. My wife grew up in Fairhaven.
Hmm.
She herself, prior to getting on the job, was a paraprofessional at Dr. Mayo. And
Oh,
then
okay.
she made the career switch. So, but in terms of servicing the city, that's always been her path.
Yes, yes. Are you guys ever asked to kind of come out and speak at events? Because again, I haven't met your wife, or I may have, but just speaking to you in this short period, you guys are ever approached to for some of the community events to kind of just
Yeah,
share?
whenever listen, I make myself available, whenever anyone wants to reach out or have a conversation. If I have the time, I
Hmm.
I I mean, I try to fill up my calendar with a bunch of stuff between, the two districts. I'm also the police union vice president. Um,
Oh,
so I have a lot on my plate, and
yes.
I try to avail myself as much as possible.
And so I guess as we conclude, any general comments about the contract perception and whether we're at the ninth inning, the fifth inning, you think doubleheader,
It's
seven series, 7 game series? Where are we, would you say?
it's a work in progress.
Work in progress?
We're trying our best. That's all I can
Okay,
say.
okay, okay. But it would be helpful just in general and from the macro standpoint that we get this resolved as soon as we
Yes,
can. Um,
yes.
Okay, well, again, we're on the same, my mantra is we're on the same team, so we gotta kind of understand what's going on there. Uh, excellent. The safe, I'm tempted to ask you the safest district in New Haven. I'm not going to ask you that. I'm going to ask you that. Oh man. Oh man. Okay. I think that's it, man. I mean, you've answered my question. I guess I want people to get a chance because they don't always, we're encouraging folks to kind of come to the management team meetings, which we're taking a hiatus
Yep.
this summer. But obviously you'll be back there in September. But in the meantime, I just wanted to kind of give people a chance to see your face
Yeah,
and
listen,
know that you're accessible and
absolutely. Like I said, my work phone number, 475-331-3257. It's always on. Anyone can reach me whenever they need me.
and just repeat that one more time. That's helpful.
475-331-3257.
Excellent. Sergeant Lamb, this is good, man. Thank you. Thank you.
Um,
Peace on earth, goodwill to people, right? Let's make it happen.
yeah, if you need
And,
anything, feel free to reach out.
excellent. I appreciate it, man.
All right. Nice
Take
speaking with
care.
you. Thanks.